Hello and welcome to TALRadio. At TAL, we connect those who are willing to give to those who are in need. My dear listeners and my lovely audience, you are listening and watching to a beautiful series called Mindfulness. And whenever you listen to this series, you know very well who is going to be the guest of honor. It's my pleasure once again to invite Dr. Sampath, who is going to dive us more into mindfulness. And the topic for today is the future of work and education. In fact, they both are very much correlated, work and education. But I think Dr. Sampath can really throw some light on this topic today. So, Dr. Sampath, welcome to Tal Radio.
Thank you, Sandy, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
Lovely to have you back. All right. So, Dr. Sampath, first of all, I think it is going to be a little personal in nature, what I would really like to know. So, I really wanted to understand, like, what initially sparked your interest and this intersection on work and education as an individual?
It's like I quit the corporate world and I started training or I started developing leaders in the corporate world. And we were quite successful. And every third or fourth workshop that I was leading, people would say, I wish I got this when I was young. I wish I got this when I was young. And for 10 years, we heard that. And one evening when me and Dr. Kalpana were coming back, we said, why don't we start something on education when everybody is asking for it? So that is how we started a company called EFIL, which is Education for Integrating Life, in which the core subject that we teach in the schools is life itself. We work from third grade to 10th grade. And this year, I think we are also working with 11th and 12th grade. It's unfortunate that we teach children math, physics, chemistry, but we don't teach them anything about life. And we presume that they will fall and learn and grow themselves, which is true. That's how you and I have grown. But if we can give them some clues, particularly in a world where there is so much of distraction, so much of YouTube, so much of Instagram, so much of social media, I think they need to definitely have the skill or ability to sift and absorb what they need to absorb and leave behind what they need to leave behind. So that is how our interest in education started. And that was almost like 15 or 18 years ago. So we've been running this program in 5 states, and at any given point of time, 12 to 15,000 children are going through, and it is in an expanding mode.
Awesome. That's brilliant. That's like too much of kindness, which we really need actually. So moving on, Dr. Sampath, how do you really see, the workforce, which is like the present workforce, I would see, especially the Gen Z, if we talk about, how do you see it evolving over the decades? Like all the kids who are in the early 20s, how do you see them evolving over the next decade now? Because that's the youngest workforce the world actually has.
Yeah. I think the definition of most of the things will change with AI coming in. I don't think this gen or the generations to come, they already are talking, those who are born after 10125 are called beta gen. So therefore,
Okay.
my guess is they're not going to see work as 9 to 5 the way I saw when I went into work after my college.
No,
They're
not
going
just
to
you.
see
I think I also saw the same.
yeah, they're going to see something very, very different. They will work whenever they want, get paid for the work they did. It's going to be very, very different. I don't think this generation believes in loyalty. In my days, loyalty was a very important factor for a long-term employment. Today, it is not going to be. Loyalty is not. Today, what will be the linking factor for somebody to stick on to a job is going to be the passion matching, which means the individual's passion and the work that is provided to them, does it match? They will also be looking at, is the work meaningful or is it routine, mundane? Which I feel is a good shift. I think they will not want to be treated as a robot. And fortunately, I don't think in the future workforce, we will need people to do repetitive routine tasks. And that will be taken over by either AI or robots, which can manage those tasks. So the workforce of the future will be wanting to add value, wanting to make a difference, wanting to do something which gives them a sense of joy, sense of value add, sense of creation. I think those are the things that they will love to do. And I certainly believe it's a good thing and it's moving in the right direction.
Well, that was a pretty positive thing to say, that's moving in the right direction. And especially, when you mentioned that when you joined, and probably, even when I started working in the initial days, we had a very fixed kind of a time, like 9 to 5 job. That meant a job, basically. And there was not much distinction between a private and a public sector job, because there was longevity, just like in public sector we have. There was longevity in private sector as well. People would stick to the same company, for example, for 25, 30 years and probably draw, their PS later on. So, but that is something that is actually, if you look at today's world, there's a huge distinction now. There's a huge difference between these two worlds today.
Yeah, I think we have moved from the what I'm reminded of the Charlie Chaplin movie. I forget the name of the movie where he works like a robot, and from there we moved into a knowledge era where we were looking at doing something a little different, much better working condition. I think today it is going to be a future employee is going to look at a culture fit more than any other fit. And my guess is future employees will be doing more than one job. That
True.
is going to
That's
be a
the
norm.
catch.
And if somebody is going to control that, I think they have a choice to lose the employee or have them and pursue their own passion, which can be a job or which can be even a pastime. But they will definitely be doing something more than one, because you can't satiate or satisfy this generation with just one routine job, trying to give them what you think is right for them. As long as they feel what they're doing is right, they will do it. So therefore, I think it's going to be an interesting challenge for the HR folks. It's going to be an interesting challenge for the companies. It's going to be a lot of churn and turmoil before we settle. And my guess is it will take another 3 to 5 years before we see the new work norms, and even that is a long period.
Well, that clearly that clearly means that the side hustle that people do today will not be a side hustle as such. It would be the daily norm in everybody's life, especially, the professional life of a young professional. So moving on, so, Dr. Sampath, you really talk a lot about AI and automation tools and everything. And now that being so big into workforce today, how do you think, what kind of skills would be most in demand if we talk about maybe the next, not just a decade, maybe 5 to 6 years, I would say?
I think at a point of time, your ability to do something itself was your guarantee for a job, which means if you are working in an automotive company, just to fix the tire from morning to evening, if you could do that, you had a job. Then came a time where if you could add value, do a few things, which was a little different from a automatic or robotic kind of work, that became a norm. Knowledge became the source of energy there. Today, I think if you can't create knowledge, if you can't bring value add, you will not find a job. So therefore, for me, as we move forward, our education, everything has to change. We'll have to find a way. I think creativity will be in highest demand in the future. People will expect you to constantly look at how can we better things, how can we do things differently, how can we do things more efficiently, how can we add value, how can we provide better service to somebody. I think it's going to be those who are capable of answering those questions will be definitely more required in the workforce. Another very important thing that will happen for sure is those who there will be many youngsters who would want to be on their own and be entrepreneurs of a different kind. I don't think we are talking about an entrepreneur who makes it big, okay, unicorn. And there will be many people who will be doing jobs which are very different. And people are going to look for challenging tasks. I have a real case in hand where one of the persons who has joined me has left a very large organization, very popular organization, which has a very good culture. Not that it was bad in its culture. He took a salary cut of 66%. He came for a 33% salary just because he thought he was adding value in this job and this job was giving him the kind of challenge he desired. Okay, he also was looking for some equity, which he got. But equity is just a paper game. I mean, if the company does well, he will get hugely compensated. But the reason he took this change and the reason he took this cut is he wanted something challenging. He wanted to add value to the society. So he found this job gave him those opportunities. So therefore, he took the challenge. And if I can experience that as an entrepreneur myself, I'm sure there are many people, and I hear some of the young colleagues who are working with us say that none of their friends are happy in the jobs that they are doing. And they've hardly worked for 2, 3 years post their college life. They all are disappointed. They all are frustrated. They all are looking for change. They're looking for something more meaningful. That's a reality.
So, having said all this, that people are looking for change and they don't want to stick to something that they've just started a career in, I want you to really understand the landscape of the present work scenario right now. Do you feel that the traditional jobs that people used to do, the traditional work that people used to do, their career choices, do you think they have become obsolete now?
The traditional job like plumbing, civil work, they all will exist, right? What will vanish is, I don't know if I spoke about this in any of the previous episodes. In the past, a junior lawyer will be employed by a senior lawyer just to refer and take case laws when the senior lawyer is fighting for a client of his. But today, AI tools can give you all the case laws, not just in your country, but even other countries if required. And they are more accurate than human beings. So are the case in many places. In fact, today I'm developing a software, a AI-based learning and development platform with just one software engineer. And you know how I'm able to do that, or how my software engineer is able to do that? He's using Claude, ChatGPT, others to write program.
Oh,
And they're writing better programs. So, in other words, I should have had a team of 4 or 5 people. Today, I'm able to do that with one person because the AI tools are able to give him all the support that is required. They do the testing of all the codes. They recommend the corrections. They write codes for him. So the landscape is changing tremendously.
really changing tremendously. But do you feel that the present education system, not just in East that we have, but probably in West also, if we look at it, holistically, do you think it is somehow, is it preparing, today's generation for the future workforce, or it is still into a very traditional form as of now?
I feel there is a need for immediate change in our education system. I think teachers have to become facilitators, not teachers. I don't think you need to teach a child what is gravity. I think Khan Academy will do that better. AI will do that better. You will get better examples, better illustrations, and better quality knowledge through all these sources. But what they will find it difficult to teach is how to use these knowledge and create something new. I think we'll have to move from sharing knowledge to enabling students to understand things. And once they understand, how to apply them in real life. That is going to be the real challenge. And if education systems are not going to do that, we are in trouble. The students who will come will have to struggle, and they will have to realize that out of their own tripping and falling and getting up and learning how to survive.
Learning how to survive. And do
In that
you,
context, actually, we do something very interesting. When the students come into the 10th grade, we do something called a social action project, where we ask a child to go and pick up a social issue and come up with a solution for it and spend 60 to 80 hours on it and come back and share with us what they did, what they learned, and what was the outcome. And we find the kind of integration that happens of our entire life education program into this child is something very, very powerful. In fact, we have 2 students who have gone through our school program. They went to college, they gave up on the corporate job, and they have become social entrepreneurs, and they have now joined us. And we are collaborating with them, and they are collaborating with us. And they realize the need for giving other than subject knowledge to students.
and Dr. Sampath, like, what do you feel, and how do you think universities and institution and everything, how can they basically, what can really do to stay relevant?
They'll have to make the education very pragmatic, practical. I mean, I was lucky in my master's program. I graduated from Madras School of Social Work. The education I got was brilliant. 2 days I was in the field, 3 days in the classroom. So if I was if I was specializing in HR, Tuesday and Thursday I would be in the field, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll be in the class. And I will have a fieldwork supervisor with whom I could discuss what I saw and relate it to the theories that I was learning in the classroom. So that gave a grounding for us like none other course. And we understood concepts much more practically as to why this is needed, why that is not needed, how do you cope with this. So that was a very nice program. And I would say that all education systems will have to get into or migrate into doing, learning, doing. In fact, I would say learn, do, reflect, come back, learn, again go do, reflect, come back. That cycle has to be well established. Then the students who get out of the college will be more employable, more contributive in their nature. Otherwise, I have a employee with us who's an MCOM, and when I ask basic questions, very, very basic, like ABCD of commerce, I don't see this person being able to answer those questions. And I
I
wonder,
hope he's
5 years of BCom and MCom, what is it given to this person? Literally zero.
I
And
hope
I'm
he's
telling
listening or
very,
she is
very basic.
listening.
I'm not taking the name or anything, so nobody would
Yeah.
know who this person is. But this is a reality, and this is something which one has to confront at some point of time or the other.
As they say, the book's knowledge is so different than the practical knowledge.
Yes, and I mean, I think right from our childhood we have been asked how many people, when was Taj Mahal built, how many people were involved in building it, who built it, and all kind of crap. I don't think any question paper asks, hey, what is the feeling behind building a Taj Mahal? What was that emotion? What is the value of Taj Mahal for Mumtaz? I don't think anybody is asking such questions because such questions don't have any reference to any book. You'll have to understand what is love. You'll have to understand what is sacrifice. You'll have to understand the desire to give something extraordinary to a person whom you love, right? So therefore, I don't think anybody asks such questions. It's unfortunate that we still are mugging up history, want to remember which war was fought when, who was the king from which period to which period. We don't ask, hey, what was the unique characteristic of this king during his rule between this period and this period? What is the difference he made to his society? What is the difference he made to his own countrymen? I don't think we ask such questions. How did every king preserve the culture? I don't think we ask such practical questions which will make a person think. You will have to assimilate this. Even in an open book, you can't answer these questions.
Very true. And Dr. Sampath, you work with leaders across the globe. You work with quite a big number of companies, and you actually work with a lot of companies from West and East. What do you think, if I may ask you, when we talk about the education system, do you feel is there a kind of a role model that any country has set till now to for the future workforce that they are preparing, the future workforce?
I see many interesting school designs emerging. They have not become popular, but I know one of my friends' son goes to a school where they do farming. Through farming, they learn biology, they learn so many other things, they learn commerce by selling their produce, they learn math. So the children are spending most of the time on the field. In fact, they bring the produce, they cook and eat, so they see what is the value of what they created. So therefore, many such models are emerging, but they are. You'll have to have a microscope and search for them. But for sure, these models will become more and more real. These models will become more and more needed, and that is what is going to be the future.
Lovely to know that. And talking about the kind of models that we were just, you just mentioned, there is certainly a very big role play of soft skills also in all these things. So, how do you feel that, the role of soft skill will also be at par with the technical skills, or would it be still taking a back seat like it is today?
I think for the first time, you need to learn what it means to be a human being, not a human doing. So far, we could manage as a human doing. You got a job, you did what you were asked to do, but you're going to be as a person. So to be a human being, you need to understand the sensitivities of humans, the emotions of humans, the needs of humans. That is going to be very, very critical. If you're not going to take care of that, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, to just give you an example, I think one of my colleagues, when we were talking about Aero Show, she just casually said, I would love to go for the Aero Show. So I just went and managed to passes for us, and I took her for the. I think such things will be very important. If you can be sensitive to them, understand them, and care for what is important for them, they're likely to value you and be with you for a longer time. But that has to be a genuine feeling, not a manipulative one that you're doing that to keep them with you. You're doing that because that is who you are as a person.
Lovely. I think for me, the biggest takeaway, from today's talk would be to understand that we have to be human beings and not human doings. I think that actually gave me a jolt for a second. And I just try to reflect on a lot of the actions that probably I take in my life, even on, daily basis as such. So, we really need to wrap up this very segment as of now. But before I let you go, I really wanted to understand and really wanted to know that if you were allowed to make or implement one major change in our education system for the future, of the workforce of our country or of the world, in fact, what would that be?
I would like to encourage children to think about their dreams, vision, and help them to pursue them and learn what it means to convert an idea into a reality and make meaning out of it. I think that will be one of my key learning agendas for the students of today, tomorrow,
Today.
or the years to come. I don't think we have been encouraged to think that we are capable of doing many things, sadly, though. I think that thought has to be built in every child, that every child is capable of many things. They have to decide what they want to do and pursue that. They just need that little bit of support in the initial phases, and they would move on. I think I studied in a Kendriya Vidyalaya. I took home science. We were the only two boys who took home science. All the others were girls. So we used to cook and sell our what we cooked during the lunchtime to other students. And I'm talking
Lovely.
about what? Way back in 75, 76, we made something like 130 rupees, which was a huge
Wonderful.
money. We saw money in our own hands, which is the fruit of our labor. I think we'll have to give all those experiences to the children of today. They should be able to make a difference. They should be able to feel that they can stand on their own feet left in any place. That's going to be very important.
Lovely. Lovely. And as you said, the children of today, and certainly they are the future of tomorrow. So thank you so much, Dr. James Sampath, for joining us on this beautiful series called Mindfulness. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
And to my lovely audience, if you want to reach out to Dr. Sampath, you know the way. And if you do not know the way, I'll request him to let you know soon.
Yeah, you can reach out to me through a mail, sampath@arpita.com, SAMPATH at ARPITHA.com. I would also invite you to visit my Instagram handle called The Soul Kathas. You will get a lot of bite-sized videos. We have already posted over 35 of them. They all have some central meaning, though it is just 50 or 70 seconds. They all have a very inbuilt meaning in them, which is useful to understand life a little better. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your listening. It's always
Thanks a
good to
lot.
see you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot to our lovely listeners for tuning in to TAL Radio. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.